Thank you. Jay and Artie, the next question is for you. Can you describe currently the economic development piece that the city has, how you guys approach economic development, and kind of what you all are doing in that regard?
Sure, be glad to do that. One of the comments that Mayor Studeville made was one of the goals of the City Council was for staff to evaluate our economic development programs, where we've been, where we need to be, what we need to do moving forward. And we're excited about that. We've already taken a few steps internally. We're moving much of our economic development work back into city staff's hands. We've actually been contracting that out for a period of time. We've decided to move some of that back in-house so we can be more aggressive. We can fine-tune some of the programs in a little bit different direction. That's not saying anything negative about where we were and what we were doing before. It's just that we feel now that we have the ability with some staff personnel that we didn't have previously to take some of that back under our roof. In that regard, we're also looking at redeveloping the old Economic Development Commission that we had, taking a new format and a new approach with that. We're looking at a very close partnership with the Chamber to take over the tourism side of things, even the transient guest tax fund and how we administer that and how we work with that to move that under the Chamber where they have much more expertise in some of those things, and we're working closely with the Chamber on that. In addition to that, we're taking a look at our overall facilities in terms of what we have available for businesses come in, putting more emphasis on promotion of the community, telling our story a little bit better than we have in the past, and identifying what are the best fits for our community. Sometimes in economic development, there's this shotgun approach where you go out and just shoot a shotgun in the air and hope you hit something. Well, not necessarily the best approach in economic development, particularly for a smaller community. We need to identify better what fits best for our community, target those, and make those our major emphasis. In addition to that, I think we need to look at economic development as being much broader than we have in the past. People look at it as just bringing in a factory or bringing in a business. Well, it needs to be bigger than that. It needs to have the tourism piece. It needs to have that, of course, recruitment, but it also needs to emphasize retention and development of existing businesses, providing them better opportunities, identifying who their suppliers are, and maybe working with their suppliers to bring them in as part of our community. In addition to that, the housing piece is another part of that, and we can't forget that. We have to have the housing, we have to have the availability for people to be here, to work in our community. It's best if we can get them to live in our community. We also have to look at how many jobs are going outside of our community to the city to work, and are there some of those jobs that we can identify companies or firms to bring some of those people with satellite offices or satellite functions here in this community. We've also made the decision to work much closer with the County Economic Development Director, Janet McCrae, which we've had an excellent working relationship, and we've worked very closely with her, but she's also now working closer with us on some things, and we're helping us identify a number of things moving forward. We have identified that it really pays off big dividends for us to work jointly. And we're working closely with some of our neighboring communities on how we can all work together to identify the strengths of the area and for all of us to take advantage of those. Okay, apparently the mayor doesn't want to add anything there.
Shane or Rob, the same question actually was asked of the county. Again, if you could expand a little bit on kind of some of the things you're doing from an economic development standpoint. Also, if you wouldn't mind, tell them about what's available on the county website in regards to some of the economic information that's out there now.
Yes, thank you, Blake. I think Jay touched on it in terms of a partnership. When you look at the county, from our standpoint, we're not in the sewer business, we're not in the water business, we're not in the electric business and things. You take fire flow aspect of it for water with 6-inch lines and greater, rural water districts oftentimes aren't able to provide that. Three-phase electric, as you look around, oftentimes isn't in existence in the rural area and such. So it really just makes sense to just kind of turn around and focus yourself into the incorporated cities, whether it be Paola, Spring Hill, Osawatomie, or Lewisburg. I think that's where the greatest opportunity's at. A couple of years ago, the county, with its financial advisor, Springstead, worked to revamp all of its economic development policies along with Janet McCrae. So we're in position to be able to offer anything that's allowable under state law with that community improvement districts, transportation districts and such, constitutional tax abatements, industrial revenue bonds, those sorts of things, whatever it takes to fit the bill, so to speak. The competition's tough. We're going through a site visit process currently with a client for 50 jobs. A couple of the competitors are, one of them city of Topeka, other one's state of Arkansas. Arkansas comes to the table with $1 million cash on top of everything else that they offer. I guarantee you Miami County didn't come to the table with $1 million of cash. So if it takes something like basically an endowment, so to speak, for 50 jobs to sweeten the pot, it's tough. I think we've developed a philosophy, and Jay touched on it too, of expansion within. I think we've been successful, and I think you can cite some businesses here in Paola that have grown their operations, or that we've worked to help them retain their operations here locally, and that's a benefit. I think as many benefits as there are to our neighbor to the north, there's as many disadvantages in terms of being buttressed right against Johnson County. When you drive up through there, there's a tremendous amount of vacant commercial and industrial type of space in that county, and they're very aggressive. And when you talk about basically building new from a heavy commercial or industrial standpoint here, you're not in a position to provide 24 to 36 months of free rent. Up there they are, and things with that in some limited instances. So the competition's very tough. I think this is a great place, but the county's position in economic development is to be a strong partner with the cities on that, and I think that's our best opportunity for success. And Blake, I might have missed the second half of your question there.
You have a website. The county has a website, and there's some excellent economic information that is provided through that website.
Yes, that is true. At our website, which is in the process of being upgraded, and hopefully by month's end we'll have a much more robust presence on the web. But under our departments and there with economic development, you can run through that, and it outlines a bevy of different programs and opportunities that's available.
Right. Thank you. The last question that I have, and then we've got a few announcements that we have, and I'm not sure who this question needs to go to, but how do you expect a person with a concealed carry license to keep up with the changing laws of each city if the state doesn't have more of a set policy that covers all? Jay, I think that might be more towards you.
I think I guess probably the best answer to that would be, I'm not sure, because I don't have a concealed carry permit, quite frankly don't want one. But I'm not sure how that would be done. That would be a tough mechanism in some ways. But let's look at it logically. Most cities are going to be in a position where, and I would say particularly in our region, where everybody would be pretty much on the same page as to what would be done. I think, like most everything, you need to look at each individual case on things and how that would be approached. I think the basis of looking at it from the state law, I think there could be parameters on the state law that would set things up. I think there are certain posting things that could be done to approach that. I'm not so sure that it would be that big of an issue, quite frankly. I think from a city standpoint and from the county standpoint, I know they share our position on this. Our biggest concern with concealed carry is more being allowed in public buildings, in public facilities. I'm not sure that we need people with guns sitting in public libraries, or we need people with guns in county commission meetings or city commission meetings or those type of things. I'm not sure we really need that. And I think the infringement on the ban that has been in public buildings is probably our biggest concern on that side of things. Open carry, I doubt that there are very few communities in this entire state that are in favor of open carry. And I know there are certainly a lot of business people that are not in favor of open carry, because I've heard it time and time again. I don't want somebody having the ability to sit in my restaurant with a gun strapped to their side, with all the patrons in my restaurant being able to see that. Yeah, we hear it all the time, and I think that's a legitimate concern and a legitimate right that businesses should have the opportunity and the ability to tell their local officials that we don't want to see this. From a law enforcement standpoint, I guarantee it's a concern of law enforcement all the way around. Who's the bad guy? Who's the good guy? You tell me. Think about it sometime. And that's something that's forgot in that whole discussion, is who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. And when that police officer or that sheriff's officer has to make that decision, split decision, something bad could really happen in that situation.
Thank you. Can we have a round of applause for our representatives here this morning that spoke to us?